Do you want to give your loved ones something extra special this Christmas? Then keep watching because I'm going to teach you how to make a retro Christmas cookie box. Welcome back, Vintage Recipe Heroes. This week we are doing part 1 of a 2-part series on making retro Christmas cookie boxes. I'm excited to finally get a head start on this Christmas baking so that I can have my Christmas cookie boxes out by the 1st or 2nd week of December. This box holds something for everyone's taste, and in today's video I'll be showing you how to make Moravian gingerbread cookies, lemon cream cheese spritz cookies, and chocolate drizzled lace cookies. All 3 retro Christmas cookie recipes are coming from the Women's Day Encyclopedia of Cookery. While I have not tried these recipes before, I'm praying that they work out, and I also do really trust this book series. So we've got a lot of Christmas baking to get done, and I really want you to get a head start on it this year because by the time Christmas rolls around, everyone's already got too many cookies. So you want your Christmas cookie box to be the first one people receive. So to beat that cookie rush, we've got to get started right now. The first cookie we're going to start with is the Moravian gingerbread cookie because this dough has to chill in the fridge for a few hours. While the dough is chilling, I suggest that you use this time to look for your Christmas cookie cutters. I managed to find a very well-fed reindeer and an angel, which is similar to what they used in the book. One thing I want to note before starting is that I have sifted this flour, so I'm just going to whisk in my spices, salt, and baking soda. Next, we'll add the brown sugar and mix that well. I really hope this bowl is big enough. I'm not getting a good feeling about it. Next, we have our lard and butter. It says to use 2 knives or a pastry cutter to mix it in. I think I might just quickly pull it apart with my fingers. Alternatively, you could probably grate this in. Or if you have a food processor, put a bit of this flour in there, process it in. That would be the quickest way. Next, it says to gradually add the molasses and the cider vinegar. Now, there's only half a teaspoon of cider vinegar, so I'm gonna go ahead and add that all. But there is 1.5 cups of molasses, so I'm gonna add about half a cup to start and mix that in. Wow, this looks really interesting. Let's add another half a cup. This cookie dough doesn't have any eggs. It really is all spice and molasses. It's getting a little bit difficult to mix. It doesn't say to use a hand beater, but I'm wondering if that would make this much easier. And here's the last half a cup of molasses. Man, this is sticky. Okay guys, I'm gonna put this in a bigger bowl, grab my hand mixer, and be right back. Okay, let's mix this. This is much easier. Now it says we are to chill the dough until it's firm enough to roll. Just wanna push it down a bit here and see what it looks like. Let's just make sure we get all the dry bits at the bottom here. I am going to try and make a bit of a ball. Then I'm going to cover this, chill it, and when it seems like it's firm enough to roll out into a dough, that's exactly what we'll do. Here's my ball of dough. I'm going to put it into the smaller bowl from earlier. Cover it and chill it. I'm going to start with 1 to 2 hours of chill time. While our Moravian cookie dough is chilling, let's get started on our lemon spritz cookies. One thing to note before we get started is that I do not own a cookie press or stamp, so I'm going to try and pipe this cookie dough through a piping bag with a star tip. I've never made this cookie dough before, so I don't know how thick it will be. We'll just hope that this works out, and if not, we can scoop the cookies and they'll taste exactly the same. So our first step is to cream our butter, cheese, and sugar. I'm going to add the cheese. I'll just break it apart. This will make it a little easier to cream. Can I break this butter apart too? Oh yeah, why not? I do recommend that you just cube your butter though. You don't have to be such a barbarian like me. I am going to use my hand mixer for this, but you're welcome to use a stand mixer. That looks pretty good. Next, it says add your egg yolk, your lemon extract, your grated lemon rind. I'm adding a little bit more because I love it super lemony. And your salt. At this point, I do recommend scraping down your bowl and then giving it another mix with the mixer. Lastly, we're going to add our flour and then mix that together. Okay, and this is my dough when it's been all mixed together. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any mixing shots because an Amber Alert went off on my phone just as I started my hand mixer, and I didn't realize that that stops your camera. It stops everything. So anyways, this is what the dough looks like when it's mixed. It does feel quite thick, but we're gonna try and spritz it. We'll see what happens. Let's try a little bit in here and see. Okay. This is not gonna work. If you do have one of those automated cookie stamps or cookie press things, you know, where it goes and the dough comes out, then please make spritz cookies, but I don't own one of those, so I'm just gonna scoop these. All right, let's scoop these spritz cookie for all the people out there who do not have that automatic cookie machine. It's pretty thick. This reminds me of being at work. We scoop all of our cookies. Just gonna put them about 1.5 inches apart. Like I said, I've never made these, so I don't know what their spreading is like. If you're using the same size scoop as I am, you will not get 72 cookies out of this recipe. You will now officially get 26. And the recipe says at this point you can add some colored sugar, some cinnamon sugar, or nuts. And I have opted to decorate each of my cookies with a gorgeous walnut. And after you're finished decorating these cookies, there's no need to chill them. The recipe says that we can simply start baking them at 350 for about 15 minutes. Next, we're gonna start the lace cookies. So what you're gonna need for the lace cookies is a double boiler setup. You're gonna have a pot with water in it and then a bowl on top, but make sure that the bottom of the bowl is not touching the water. This is so that we can get some gentle cooking going on. So first, I'm gonna turn on my heat. Then I'm gonna add my shortening and butter, as well as my brown sugar. Can I pick this up? Ah, looks like a perfect sandcastle. Gotta get my spatula. And my light corn syrup. So over this double boiler, giving it gentle heat, we are gonna try and bring this to a boil. And once this comes to a boil, we are then going to add our nuts. I chose to go with mixed nuts and our flour, which should already be mixed together. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix my flour and nuts together. My nuts were semi-finely chopped, and I've got my semi-sweet chocolate here ready to start melting as soon as all this process is done. So while this melts, let me show you what it looks like. My water is certainly boiling. I just need my mixture to come to a boil. It looks nice and emulsified now. Oh my goodness, some little bubbles are coming. Please, bubbles, please. Okay, everyone, I'm so sorry. I just realized something. It says to melt it in a double boiler, then bring it to a boil over direct heat. For some reason, I thought that we were still gonna stick with the double boiler, which is technically an indirect form of heat, and I was wondering why it's taking so long to come to a boil. So, Let's put it in a pot, get it over some direct heat, bring it to a boil. Sometimes the instructions in vintage or retro recipes can be a little vague because people used to have good general knowledge of baking and cooking. This should come to a boil pretty quickly. Now it's coming to a boil, and I believe why it says to remove from heat immediately is because butter and sugar both like to bubble up when they start boiling. Boom. Luckily I'm using induction, so I don't need to take it right off. So here's my flour and my nuts coming in. I have a really small pot here. I'm just gonna mix in half right now and then put it back, funnily enough, into my original bowl because it does say to keep some of this batter warm over boiling water because we can only bake so many at a time apparently. So now we're back into this one now that we've come to a boil. Adding our flour, keeping this warm at the lowest setting. Ooh, this looks so yummy. Okay, so I'm keeping my water boiling to keep this warm. I'm gonna move it over to the side though. This is the same parchment that I used for my lemon cookies. But now I'm going to spray it for these. You know what? Sorry everyone, I'm gonna use my scoop. In my mixed nut mixture, there are peanuts, almonds, walnuts, Brazil nuts, and cashews. There might also be pecans. And I got salted nuts because I noticed that there is no salt in this recipe. Did you notice that? Okay, it looks like I will not be able to bake these all in one go. Boo for me. I'm gonna keep the rest of my batter warm over the boiling water and put these in the oven at 325 for 8 to 10 minutes. And while I'm waiting for those to bake, I'm just gonna get my double boiler pot ready, not touching, for my chocolate. My very old semi-sweet chocolate, don't judge me. Now it says to let them cool on the tray for 1 minute, so I'm gonna leave them and then we'll rack them up. Just so you know, don't put them too close to each other. This will happen. Okay. I am gonna let my lace cookies cool like this. Yeah, I kind of poked a hole into that one. Ignore that one. And we're gonna melt some chocolate them up, snip them apart, and see how they taste. Okay, at this point I'm gonna turn off the heat. I've got a piece of parchment here, and I'm gonna place just a few of my favorite looking lace cookies and put chocolate on those because you really don't need to see all of them getting done. Okay, I've got 3 exemplary lace cookies here, which I will drizzle chocolate onto. Okay, let me see if I can drizzle a little bit on here. I'm scared, not too much. Ooh. My drizzles look really, really horrible. So I'm gonna turn them into just, you know, chocolate blobby bits. And I'm gonna sprinkle them with just a little bit of salt. So gorgeous, I just can't even get over it. Strangely decorated, but well salted. Lemon cookies are done. Lace cookies are cooling. It's time to get back to our Moravian cookies. I've got my chilled dough here. It's been about 2 hours. And it says to roll it out little by little. So, let's move this over here. I've got my cookie cutters. I'm gonna flour my counter lightly. Flour my pin. And I'm gonna grab a little chunk of this, about, let's say about 1/3 of the dough. It smells like Christmas. Okay. This is a little tiny rolling pin, but it's either this or jumbo, so we're going with this one. The dough seems to be really lovely and smooth. It's not hard to roll out at all. So I believe it said about 1/8 of an inch thickness. Let's see how that does us. I don't want my cookies too thin. Let's start with reindeer. And let's peel away this dough. Just put it to the side for now because we will re-roll it. We are not wasting. Oh my goodness, I almost tidied up a reindeer. Whoops. We are not wasting anything. Oh my God, I hope my counter's floured enough, and I hope that this molasses doesn't stain it. Ooh, it's kind of sticky. Okay, so I would recommend a little bit more flour here. Yikes, yikes. Sorry for complaining. Oh, there we go. One little chubby reindeer. Ah! Okay, okay. No. Round 2, my counter needs way more flour than this. What does it say on the instructions? Roll on floured board. Things never work out the first time for me. Let's try this again. We're gonna flour this. It's now on a board, not on a counter. It's not light flour, it's regular floured. And if this is still sticky, we're just gonna chill the dough for a bit longer. Lots of flour this time. Normally you don't want to do too much flour because you don't want it to get into your cookie dough, but man, those were so stuck. Oh. Perfect. There you go, everyone. Okay, so at this point, this is all the cookie dough that I have left, and I have 2 of these trays already cut out. So I'm going to bake these trays and then finish off with the rest of the cookie dough, and I'll meet you back at the decorating table where we'll make some icing and give these a little glitz and glam. All right, so I didn't count these cookies yet, so I don't know if it did make 72, but it made pretty well near 72. I have 2 full huge sheet trays, and then I also have all these on top. That's a lot of cookies to decorate, but I'm only gonna make you watch me decorate a few and I'll do the rest off camera. So we have a few options for icing these cookies. Traditionally, you might use a royal icing, which has a really nice shiny and hard finish. Or you could use the icing recipe that this recipe recommends. But I'm actually gonna use neither of them because they're both a little bit more finicky than what I'm willing to work with right now. And I honestly think just icing sugar and a bit of milk and a piping bag will do these just fine. I don't need to get too fancy. I am, however, going to add almond extract instead of vanilla extract. You don't have to do this. I just personally love almond flavored icing, like on a Bakewell tart. So I am hoping that this very simple icing will dry and that I can package these cookies today. So I think I'm gonna start with 3 cups of icing sugar and we'll see how much that makes. I'm gonna add around a teaspoon of almond extract. Fake almond is right up there for me with fake watermelon. Also blue raspberry. It doesn't exist, but it's so good. It's too good to be real, that's why. And I'm gonna add maybe 2 tablespoons of milk to start. And whisk it up and see how it looks. 2 tablespoons didn't really make a dent, so let's add a few more. 1, 2, 3 more. We don't want it too thin because it will just run right through our piping bag, but we don't want it too thick because we will get carpal tunnel. Wow, this is really pasty. That looks like it might be perfect. My icing consistency is actually perfect. So I'm gonna start icing these. These are turning out much better sitting down versus standing up. Also, this is what my dining room table looks like when I film because I clear off all my counters. I don't naturally just have nothing on my counters but a KitchenAid. Artificial. That is fake news. Only about 500 left to go. So the cookies are finally done, all 68 of them, and I do have leftover icing. So I think that actually, if you're gonna decorate your cookies similarly to how I did, you should probably just do 2 cups of icing sugar. But finally, all 3 of our cookies are done and we can put them in a box and try them. So I have my cookie box here and I've just put a piece of tissue paper in for a little fanciness, and then some parchment in case the cookies kind of bleed grease down onto the tissue paper. Wax paper would probably be better, but I don't own wax paper and I don't really desire to buy any for the one time a year that I'm gonna use it. So let's put a lace cookie. I've got also bits of parchment cut just between the lace cookies because they are quite greasy. What do we think about 4 of each cookie? I would be so pleased to receive this. And there we are, a retro Christmas cookie box. It's been a long time coming, but finally we get to taste and rate our first retro Christmas cookie box. We have the Moravian cookies, the lemon cheese cookies, and the lace cookies. I am going to taste the Moravian cookie first, a classic gingerbread. May have overbaked it a little bit. It's a nice, thin, crisp, classic gingerbread. Lots of molasses flavor, lots of spices. This is what you want for Christmas. Let's try the lace one next. Crisp and crumbly. If you like nutty chocolate bars, Snickers, O. Henry, whatever, this is gonna be your Christmas go-to cookie. This cookie is almost God tier. Crispy, nutty, caramelly bottom, and then like a bit of chocolate, and I'm really glad I put some salt on top too to cut the sweetness. However, despite being made of almost entirely butter and sugar, it's actually not too sweet. I would say the Moravian cookie tasted sweeter because it's got sugar and molasses. Lastly, our lemon cheese cookie. Not quite a spritz cookie, but oh well. This is also lovely. It's not as buttery as a shortbread and not as sweet as a sugar cookie, but it's somewhere in the middle. I think the cream cheese really made it soft and chewy. Almost like if a blondie and a cookie had a baby, a lemon blondie. I need another bite. So what do I rate them? The Moravian cookies, I would rate a 9 out of 10. It's a very good gingerbread cookie. Lemon cheese cookies, I would rate also like a 9 out of 10. It's a very good cookie. It's not perfect, but it's very, very good. And the lace cookies get 10 out of 10. No, do I take that back? I take it back. The Lay's cookies are gonna get 9.5 out of 10. Why? Because they were a little bit of a pain to make. The instructions were not as clear as I personally needed them to be. And it seems like you're shifting from double boiler to pot back to double boiler. That's a little bit annoying, but the taste is like all the best parts of a chocolate bar. As a combination, and a retro Christmas cookie box. I mean, I'm a little bit biased because I did curate it, but I think I did a pretty good job. What do you think? Do you think that this is a well-balanced cookie box? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, because don't worry, there will be a part 2 of the retro Christmas cookie box series in which there will be 3 other cookies that I have chosen as well. Thank you so much for watching this week, and if you liked what you saw, please consider liking and subscribing. I post vintage recipes every week, and I always make them for the first time on camera. I also always have my fiance try the recipes, and sometimes my mother, my uncle, and my father, just so that you can get second, third, and fourth opinions and not just have to trust the person who made it on telling you what it tastes like. I'll see you next week for part 2 of the retro Christmas cookie box series, and yes, I will be reusing this box. See you then. Bye. Also, what do you think about this Christmas apron? Is it a little bit nerdy or a little bit weird, or can I get away with it for all my Christmas videos? Let me know.